Okay, so this is going to be some 2x2 tips and tricks on how to learn and practice one-looking. Okay. Also, I'm sorry if I get kind of cut off. I have the hiccups right now, and I have failed to get rid of them. So, yeah. Okay, so what I did to develop learning how to one-look is I started with simple 3-move insertions. Okay, so something like R, U prime, R prime. I started with this and learned how to one-look this and how the pieces were affected. Okay, so let's run through that quick. Okay, so to solve this, you do R, U, R prime. So we'll look at this piece first. When I do R, that's going to push it to here. When I do U, that isn't going to affect it at all because it's in the D layer and U doesn't affect the D layer. And when I do R prime, it's going to come from right here to right here. So I know that when I do R, U, R prime, this piece will not be moved at all. This piece is always going to end up right here when I'm done. Okay? Now I'll go to this piece. When you do R, that doesn't affect it because it's in the L face. And then when you do U, it's going to push it right from here to here. And then R prime won't affect it because it's on the L face. Okay? So these two pieces are done, and you know that this piece is going to end up here, and this piece is not going to move. Okay? Now we'll do this piece. When I do R, it's going to push it from right here to right here. And then when I do U, it's going to go from right here to right here, and then R prime will not affect it because it's on the L face. Okay? So you know that this piece is going to be here, this piece is going to be here, and this piece is going to be here. Okay? And now this piece, when you do R, that won't affect it because it's on the L face. When you do U, that's going to bring it from right here to right here, and then R prime is going to bring it right here. Okay? So you know that it's going to end up right here. So U, R prime. Okay? So once you learn how those pieces move and how that's all affected, what I did is I started setting up cases. So I would just set up random CLL or EG1 cases, and then I would do R, U prime, R prime. And knowing how the pieces move, like, I know that this piece will always be here, and this piece, you know, is going to go right here. And so basically, I just set up random cases, and then I would try and figure out what case it would be. Obviously, when I set up the case, I wouldn't want to be looking at the cube, or else one-looking it would be pointless because I already know what the case is. So what I do is I just close my eyes or something, and then just set up a random case, and then do R, U prime, R prime, and try to one-look it from here. Okay? And so once you get a really good sense of how something like R, U prime, R prime works, then you can move on and add more moves. So you could add like a U. So then instead of just doing R, U, R prime, you're going to be doing U prime, R, U, R prime, and get a sense of how everything's affected. So this is how I personally learned how to one-look. I'm not sure how everyone else does, and I'm not even sure if this is good, but this is, in my opinion, a really easy way to learn how to one-look, and I think it works. Okay? So after you've mastered something like R, U, R prime, move on to something like R, U prime, R prime. Okay? So for this one, we'll start with this piece. Okay? When you do R, it's going to go right here. When you do U prime, it won't be affected because it's in the D layer. And when you do R prime, it'll come back to here. So once again, this piece does not move. It stays right here. Okay? This piece is the next piece we'll track. So when we do R, doesn't affect it. When we do U prime, it's going to put it right here. And when we do R prime, it won't be affected because it's on the L face. Okay? So now we'll do this piece. When we do R, it's going to go right here. When we do U prime, it'll go right here. And when we do the last R prime, it won't be affected because it's in the L face. Okay? So you know that this piece is going to be here, this piece is going to be here, and this piece is going to be here. Okay? Now for this piece, when I do R, it's going to go right here. When I do U prime, it's going to go right here. And when I do the last R prime, it'll end up here. Okay? So basically work on all the 3 move insertions that there are. There's, RU prime, R prime. There's this and this. Just work on all of these because you're going to be using these all the time to build your layers, your faces, and everything. So get a really good idea of how all of these work, okay? So once you start getting those down, like I said, add like one more move, okay? So instead of just doing this, add a U2 or a U, okay? That way you're working on tracing how more pieces move, and eventually you can start building more complicated faces and one-looking them, okay? Here's one case that I struggled with for a long time, and then I broke it down into separate steps, and then it was really easy to one-look, okay? So, I have this, and one white piece here, and one white piece here. It's not all that often that this comes up, or that this is your best option, but when it does, it's nice to know how to one-look it, okay? So, to solve it, you do R prime, U2, R, U prime, R prime, okay? So, let me set that up. Okay, now when you're doing this, how I broke it down is R prime and then U2, okay? So those were my first 2 moves. So I looked at this and traced to see what R prime U2 would do to all the pieces, okay? So R prime U2, and then I learned how the pieces moved when I did that, and now it sets it up to here. And this is a simple 3 move insertion. So this is why I had you guys practice 3 move insertions, because it makes it really easy. So since I know how 3 move insertions work, all I have to do is figure out what happens when I do R prime U2, and then a simple 3 move insertion, and I know how where the rest of the pieces are going to go because it's just a 3 move insertion. So basically what I did is I broke it down and found out what each thing did. Instead of trying to figure out what R prime U2, RU prime R prime did, all I had to do was figure out what R prime U2 did, and then I already knew how the insertion works. Okay, so basically breaking things down and making them smaller and figuring out what they do helps a lot, okay? So with different things like this, with R, U prime R, once you've figured out how this works, you could move on to adding a U prime, and once you've got that, you could add like an R2 or something, and eventually you will learn how everything works, and other cases will become really easy, and you will have a good idea of how to one-look it. So that's mostly what I've got for you. I hope this helped. Other good 2x2ers such as Cameron may have a different opinion on this. If he sees this, maybe he'll say something that maybe I did that he doesn't like. But basically, I'd say just practice this. It's really easy, and I think it's a decent way to develop learning how to one-look. And yeah, so I hope this helped you guys out. If you have any other 2x2 videos you'd like to see, let me know, and I will try to make them. I don't really know what people want to see or need help with, so just let me know. So yeah, I will catch you guys later.